What's up, guys? All right, some supercharged 5th gen action on the dyno today.
2010 Camaro. So we got the front, I'll just start with this. We got the front bumper off it. We're doing a little bit of work on some of the hold downs here that were corroded. So we're waiting for parts. So that's why the front bumper's off. And we had to take the front bumper off to do the supercharger install. So this has a Magnuson Heartbeat 2300. This is a manual transmission car, so it's an LS3. Our American Racing headers. This has our stage 1 LS3 camshaft in it. So along with our push rods and springs, trunnions, all the typical upgrades we do when we do a camshaft in an LS3. Stock balancer still, 93 millimeter upper pulley. So we're only going to see probably 5 to 6 pounds on this. The reason we're doing that on this car, this guy is more of a road race type of autocross type of stuff. And so again, when we do that, these types of builds, especially on pump gas, which this car is going to be a pump gas setup, we try to keep the boost as low as we can to keep the heat down. So this car also has, so the car did come to us with some stuff on it. So it had this CAI air box on it. So it had a cold air intake going to the stock LS3 intake manifold. And he had an LS7 cam in it, and he had the GM Performance CNC ported LS3 heads that you can buy from the GM Performance. So it did have a couple goodies on it. We'll go back over the baseline once I do a final on it too. I think it was like 390 or something like that. It made for a baseline, so it was a little stronger than like what a stock LS3 would be. Oh, and it did have BBK shorty headers, which usually don't have any power, but it just still had a stock catalytic converter pipe, mid pipe on it, and it's got a Flowmaster like H pipe and muffler system on it too. So a couple things done to it. This is a BBK 95 millimeter throttle body that did come with the car also. So to get this, so the reason that you see this intake here, he wanted to keep this CAI box that was modified. It's got this stripping on it here, and it's open. Normally the CAI intakes have a window here, but he's got like a ram air style hood. So this is a functional ram air, so that these inlets here on the hood feed a chamber in the hood, and this is actually will dump air into here. So he wanted to retain that. We thought that was a good idea too. So to keep this box with this Maggie, I had to make a pipe. So I had to make an inlet pipe there out of some aluminum, and then we're gonna have, so for now, while we wait for parts here, we're actually gonna have this ceramic coated just to keep the heat off of it too. But for now, just to get it dynoed, it's just in raw aluminum right now. I just kind of ran a scotch pad over it to kind of pre-buff it before it gets a ceramic coating. I don't know if there's anything else I got to go over under the hood here. So obviously this is a 4-inch pipe, 95 millimeter throttle body. This is a 2300 Magnuson again. Their Heartbeat system that's been out for quite a while now. So it does have the ported heads. It's got our stage 1 cam. It's got the headers, 93 millimeter upper. Like I said, based on what I've done before with these Heartbeats on LS3s and this pulley combination, we're probably going to see, the boost is going to be very high. Probably 5-6 pounds of boost is what I'm guessing. And then we retain that Flowmaster H pipe. I don't know if you've ever seen the Flowmaster H pipe. It's kind of the two pipes just kind of touch together, and there's a little chamber. It's kind of like an H pipe, X pipe kind of hybrid. And then Flowmaster mufflers. So I'm going to get, and we did put injectors. We did up the injector to a 850cc injector. So, and then I believe we also, I should mention, fuel system. So we did injectors. We did do a ZL1 in-tank pump. So we took the SS pump out and put a ZL1 in-tank, which is ZL1 on the 5th gen has a bigger pump. And then we did a booster pump. So a voltage booster on the pump. So nothing too crazy as far as we're not into the engine or anything like that. Car does have 100,000 miles on it. We did put an oil pump in it. We kind of tore this one down to the short block just because of the mileage, lifters, oil pump. We kind of timing chain cam. We kind of went over all that stuff and looked at all that stuff, and we put a new chain damper on it, and like we do the solid ones and a bunch of that little stuff that when we tear into these things, we get pretty detail oriented on the specifics. So this car kind of got a bunch of that stuff because of the higher mileage. So yeah, I think that'll kind of do it for what we got going on here. And it's going to take me a couple pulls to get this dialed in, especially with this custom pipe. My MAF has ended up kind of being right on close to the bend here, so sometimes there's some little trickery I got to do to, but normally these blade MAFs are pretty tolerant of bends and stuff in the pipes in a draw through application like this, so you still end up with a nice MAF signal. So I'll put the cam on the tripod. I'm gonna get some initial pulls kind of spun up, get the tune kind of dialed in, and then we'll make a final. I'll video that and we'll go over the final numbers. This other fan, we'll take a look at the screen here so it's not blowing in my face. All right, so I left the base, I put the baseline back up there. I'll move that out of the way. So final there, 620, 539 torque, nice looking curve. And again, the blue is the baseline, that's where it came in with, so it did have those ported heads on it. It had shorty headers on it. It had that CII airbox cold air intake on it, and the Flowmaster exhaust. Still had stock catalytic converters on it. So yeah, it was, it made decent power. But now we're obviously with our cam kit and that blower, big jump in power. So I probably could have taken this thing out a little higher, but again, we're not trying to lean on something overly hard. So yeah, that's looking really nice. That curve looks really nice. Nice meaty torque curve. So we'll take a look at Dynograph, or the data log. All right. So you can see, first we'll look at boost. So we'll start down at the bottom, RPM here, boost there. You can see that's about just shy of 6 pounds down in the bottom there, kind of building up. And then it's pretty much just holding, so 140, again, 100 kPa is our atmosphere, and then we're adding on top of that. That's what this is reading. So yeah, that's about 6 pounds. That's about all we're seeing, which is kind of what we wanted. We didn't want to push it much harder than that for a road race application. So 6 pounds of boost. You can see I took it to, just took it. I might have hit the dyno button, the brake button, to stop the sample just a smidge early. It would have made a few more horsepower, but I got the limiter set at about 77,000, 71, something like that. I think 71 I have it set it at for the soft limit. So timing, a little bit of knock right here. I was been kind of struggling with a little bit of knock down at the bottom. It seems like no matter how much timing I take out of that area, I keep getting just a tiny little bit. I started out there, I think I had about 16 some degrees of timing right there, and it's always knocked like a degree, and as I keep pulling timing out, it just keeps knocking that same degree. So it might be a little bit of false knock, which can happen with setups like this. So obviously I was kind of pulling some of the torque out of the bottom there too by doing that. But that's nothing crazy. So that's kind of what's going on there. Looked like it ticked just a smidge here. Again, this car is 93 octane only, so I'm really limited on how much. Even at these low boost levels, you're still octane limited. You wouldn't think it, but with a 10.7 compression ratio, you put boost on top of that and just pump gas, you're going to be octane limited on timing. It's just it is what it is. And I know we could push the boost up higher, and I have to pull a little bit more timing. We could probably get another 20 wheel out of this thing, maybe 30 wheel. We could probably hit 650. But again, maybe for a drag race application, but not for something that's going to be road raced and autocross, then there's no need to be leaning on stuff that hard. Air fuel, you can see at the bottom there, that yellow line. Sorry, my camera's drifting a little bit. I got it pretty fat. Again, we want it to be safe, so it's, you know, kind of riding that 0.8, 0.79 for Lambda, which is like mid 11s for air fuel. So this is looking really good. We're too worried about this again, because I'd already pulled probably 3 degrees, maybe 2.5 degrees out of that, right at that spot, right at 3,000 RPM, and it just, no matter what I do, it kept picking up that little bit of knock. So that's the type of instance where I might have to go back and just pull a little bit of sensitivity out of the knock sensor tables, where you keep pulling timing, and it keeps just ticking the knock sensor. Stuff like headers, and you know, when you put supercharger and headers on stuff, there's a lot more just engine noise in general that the knock sensors pick up. So sometimes you got to compensate for that. And that's just tuning experience, knowing when you can lean on stuff and, you know, when you can't. So this looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with the power it's making for the low boost. I mean, 6 pounds of boost to make that kind of horsepower. You know, basically, this is, I mean, that's, you know, obviously our camshaft, the stage 1 cam is a large portion of that gain, but having that 6 pounds of boost, I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of power. 230, almost 230 wheel gain over where it came in. That's massive. So that'll do it for this one. It's a little salty out on the roads, and we're gonna get that bumper fixed up and put back on. So this car will kind of maybe sit here for another week or so, because I got to get this thing out on the road and confirm drivability, like we always do with all of our tuning. So again, in case you guys kind of skip to the end, obviously Magnuson 2300 CAI box with a custom pipe I made, our stage 1 LS3 cam, our Nickey long tube headers, our Nickey American Racing long tube headers, pulleyed for 6 pounds of boost. The heads are CNC ported, they're GM Performance CNC ported LS3 heads, Flowmaster exhaust, and I think that pretty much covers it on this one. We put a thermostat in it. You know, we did a bunch of internal stuff to it, you know, when we took it apart, like I said before earlier in the video. Oil pump lifters, push rods, trunnions, kind of went over, you know, we obviously tore this one down pretty far, had the oil pan off of it to do all that stuff. We got timing chain dampener, that type of stuff. So yeah, that'll do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep checking back. Like, subscribe, comment on my videos, and we'll talk to you guys later.